Hey, what's up? This is Dilio, and this is the reason why I retired my machine. Now, this is an MK3, and the first thing I want to say is that this is not a video that's going to be ragging on machine users. I personally am past all that, so if you want to take pride in using one platform or another, go ahead, but this is not to rag on Native Instruments or Machine. But this is sort of an opinion piece about my experience with Machine and Native Instruments with their platform. And I got to tell you the first hand is that I just want to make sure I say that because, I used to be one of those people that was like really prideful in the equipment that they use. Like, oh man, I'm a FL Studio guy. Oh man, I'm a FL Studio guy. I'm a Reason guy. Oh, I'm a Machine guy. And it felt good. You felt like you had the best. You wanted to know what it felt like to have the best. When the truth is that it doesn't matter what you have because at the end of the day, you are who make the music. These are just tools. So I wanted to put that in there first before I go to why I stopped using this device. So, one of the things that kind of really turned me off is that I lost a lot of features that I see other platforms have. And there's sort of like this kind of like narrative of, well, it's only supposed to be this, it's only supposed to be that. But like I miss my features. I miss some of the functionality. I miss some of the flexibility that I could do with it. And and the updates just seem to be far in between for me. When I look at the Akai platform, and there was a time where I was like super machine. And I remember Akai dropped their Renaissance. I'm like, what is that? Is that a joke? It's not. It can't hang with the machine. Like I was one of those people that felt that way because Native Instruments made the jump of integrating like kind of like a groove box design with your computer before Akai did. And so Akai had to play catch up to that. But when they dropped their standalone devices, they totally took that and then went guns blazing, and they haven't really turned back since. So those updates, they bring some features in, but it's not enough to really kind of make me really start making music with it again. But for those who use it all the time, I'm sure it's a great feature for them. But I just feel like that Native Instruments does not prioritize the machine. I feel like that they prioritize a lot of other things, and they're a big company. They come out with hardware, they come out with DJ stuff, they come out with a lot of stuff, and so I just don't feel like that they prioritize this. And you got the Machine Plus and its price point, and they're not budgeting for that price point. But if you're going to compare it dollar to dollar from features to what you do, it's hard for me to honestly justify you saying getting the Machine Plus over MPC One or Live if you're talking about pound for pound price per value. And with the updates that keep dropping for it, it's like, dang, it's almost like they care for it. And I just feel like that Native Instruments is a big company and they have a whole huge ecosystem. I'm going to talk about. They have a whole huge ecosystem of sounds. They got plugins and sounds like no other. They got some great. Contact is a great universal plugin. I use Massive a lot. It's a great plugin. And it was cool that on the MPC Plus you could install or run Massive natively on here, but I don't think you can get really under the hood as far as designing sounds on it as you would on the plugin, which leaves me saying, hey, I really like being able to get under the hood with the sounds that I design or use on my platforms. And I don't think you can do that on the Machine MK3 and Machine Studio or the Machine Plus. So that sort of left me hanging there. And then another reason why I kind of retired this is the sequencer. The sequencer does great. It served me. I've done great music with it. I've done music for other people. When you get a good groove and understand it, you got that muscle memory down. It can be a very powerful sequencer. However, arranging songs in there always felt clunky to me. Even with a Machine Jam, it was cool because you had more buttons to push. However, it just felt like it was a lot more work. And obviously, if you got your muscle memory down, it's not really a pain for you. But like, say, someone who, like me, who has the benefit of going into different platforms, to see how songs can be arranged so much faster on other platforms and simpler, and then you go to this, it's like, you don't really get that. But they've been making. I have to give it to Native Instruments. They have been making updates to make this work better. But at the same time, I just feel like they don't really update it, and I feel like that the platform sequencer could use a lot of work, especially on the song arrangement mode right there. I think that song arrangement probably is best between Maschine, FL Studio, and MPC. I feel like maybe the FL Studio might have the edge over Akai with their MPC software, but I got the muscle memory down for the Akai, so that's why I have a little bit more of a bias. But at the same time, you don't really get kind of like that DAW layout that you're used to seeing on other programs, and I almost feel like that they're doing that on purpose. I'm not 100% sure. And so another reason is that I just feel like they're not really trying to compete with Akai. They do come out with expansions or, whatever they call them now these days between these platforms. And they do come out with sounds and stuff like that. Like I said, they make some sounds. They'll make you some sounds. They'll get you going with those sounds. But as far as like the hardware and the software and what you can do with it and the flexibility of doing all kinds of things, they still aren't. It doesn't seem like that's their game plan to go pound for pound. It's almost like they're trying to look for another niche, but everybody knows is that they're comparing these two right here, and even that form factor. Like, even though this feels like a nicer form factor with bigger pads, I still like the touch screen and the availability to get to different things. But you still have availability to different things too here as well. This is your equivalent to the touch screen right here. This strip and then this knob works right there. So it's cool, but I just don't feel like Native Instruments is really trying hard enough. And they make some gorgeous hardware. They make some gorgeous, great MIDI controller keyboards. I almost got that instead of this Nectar Impact GXP61. But the price point. And then also you got to think about the ecosystem of sounds, which is what I was talking about before. They have a huge ecosystem of sounds that this thing can shine with. But you got to buy into that. You got to, and it comes bundled with some good sounds. Let's not get it twisted. It does come bundled with some good sounds, but there's a whole ecosystem that is designed to be integrated with this, with the whole complete ecosystem and the MIDI controllers, which work really great. So you got a great sounds, but then when I want to get down to that basic nitty gritty sampler of dealing with the sounds, it's lagging. There's like a lack of filters you can put on here. The envelopes are limited, but you can still group pads. You can still do good fundamental things, but it's not as deep as how I can get on here. And so, instead of trying to just be like, oh, I'm good at this one and I'm good at this one too, and I'm good at this one, it's cool to be able to understand. And if somebody wants me to teach them how to use this, even though I don't use it, it's still a great platform. This still can help bring creativity to a music producer. This still brings joy, and I still respect it and I still acknowledge that. So this is not me trying to throw it under the bus. But as for me, like, I don't use it as much as I like, but I appreciate the gear. I appreciate design. It's built. It feels built. They definitely come along with their knobs. I used to have problems with the MK1 with their knobs. That was a long time ago. It was a tough life, but I'm glad that they made some improvements on that. And if I could teach people how to make beats with this, I'll do that. If that's the type of content you want to see, let me know in the comments below. I also want to let you know that I got a listening party where I'm listening to tracks from you, the users, on my live stream, June 29th, 2022. Just in case you watch this video a year later than it's come out. June 29th of 2022, I'm doing a listening party. We're listening to tracks. We're going to have some fun, and I'd like to see you come through. I'm Dilio. You're watching the Dilio T2K YouTube channel. If you like this type of content, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you want to talk about. Let me know what you want me to talk about in the comments below. I'd like to hear from you. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Dilio, and you're watching Dilio T2K.